Throughout history, countless empires have risen and fallen, leaving behind legacies that have shaped the world in powerful ways. Among these, some regimes stand out, not solely for their achievements, but for their notoriety. These are the shadow empires, those infamous regimes that have left indelible marks on human history. Welcome to a journey through their rise and eventual fall. For centuries, ambitious leaders have sought to dominate lands and lives, their motivations ranging from power to ideological zeal. One vivid example is the Mongol Empire under Genghis Khan. Emerging from the pastoral steppes of Central Asia, this empire stretched into Europe, the Middle East, and China. What made the Mongol Empire especially infamous wasn't just its size, but its ferocity. Genghis Khan is often remembered for the terror his armies instilled, razing cities and decimating populations. Yet, despite its fearsome reputation, the Mongol regime also facilitated trade across Asia and Europe, inadvertently giving rise to what later became known as the Silk Road. As we transition through time, another dynasty emerges in Europe, Napoleon Bonaparte's First French Empire. Rising from the ashes of the French Revolution, Napoleon crowned himself emperor. Through a series of strategic military campaigns, he expanded French territories across Europe, fundamentally rewriting the continent's political map. However, it was Napoleon's self-aggrandizing ambition and relentless pursuit of power that proved to be his downfall, culminating in his ultimate defeat at the Battle of Waterloo. Further east, we encounter Nazi Germany. The ideologies of the Third Reich under Adolf Hitler drove one of the darkest periods in modern history. Fueled by a toxic mix of nationalism and racism, the regime embarked on aggressive territorial expansions and orchestrated the Holocaust, a genocide of unimaginable scale. While Germany's rapid rise from economic ruin to military behemoth was initially met with awe, the collapse of this vile empire was swift, ending in World War II's devastating aftermath. The ruins of this shadow empire serve as eternal reminders of the cost of tyranny and hatred. Moving towards Asia, the Meiji Restoration transformed Japan from a feudal society into an imperial powerhouse. By the early 20th century, the Empire of Japan pursued aggressive expansion across Asia, leading to the horrors of World War II in the Pacific. Despite its meteoric rise to become a dominant force, the empire's occupation of neighboring nations and the infamous attack on Pearl Harbor ultimately led to its surrender in 1945, leaving Japan to rise again as a peaceful and prosperous nation. In contrast to the fast-paced lives of empires we've explored, the Soviet Union represents a different kind of shadow empire, one characterized by its ideological battle against the West during the Cold War. Emerging from the Russian Revolution, this regime aimed to export communism globally. Under leaders like Joseph Stalin, the Soviet Union wielded significant influence but also faced severe internal challenges, including widespread famine and purges. Ultimately, the unsustainable economic policies and the people's desire for reform led to a dramatic fall in 1991, reshaping the geopolitical landscape. These regimes all shared a common trajectory in that their leaders were often blinded by their ambition to shape history at any cost. The rise of these empires usually involved rapid expansion, either militarily or ideologically, and was typically underpinned by a charismatic or authoritarian figure. However, their falls were equally dramatic, often stemming from overreach, resistance by oppressed peoples, or catastrophic misjudgments, turning them into cautionary tales for future generations. In essence, while these shadow empires have caused immense human suffering, they've also played pivotal roles in shaping modern geopolitics. Each left behind a vast array of lessons applicable today. They remind us of the dangers of unchecked power, the resilience of those who resist oppression, and ultimately, the transient nature of even the mightiest of regimes. Thank you for joining us on this journey through history's shadow empires. Their stories, steeped in both infamy and intrigue, offer us invaluable insights, not just into the past, but into the potential futures we are yet to write. Understanding these empires is crucial, for they remind us that no empire can last forever, and within their shadows, there are always glimmers of hope and the possibility of rebirth.